welcome to My Own Worst Enemy. It is time to start yet another playthrough, and this time it is going to be Assault Red Horizon 41. I will grab the rule book so that you can see that that is in fact what it is if you didn't recognize the setup out on the board. This is the exact copy of the game that I took to Origins, and I promised to do a playthrough of this game, and it is a learning playthrough for you and me both. I've played the shorter scenarios, but this is probably one of the longer ones that I've played. I think it is, and it's for certain the first time that I've actually used in any great detail. I'm going to use the optional rules for command cards and command points, so that's going to be interesting. So try to help me keep me straight on those new additions. This is the scenario that I chose. It's Raiding Patrol, August 30, 1941, a bridge over the Dnieper. The Germans have broken the Soviets' front line and are rushing to establish a bridgehead at the Dnieper. The Soviets must attempt to destroy the bridge to slow down the Germans' breakthrough. So basically, the scenario tells you to choose map tiles 1, 2B, 3, and 7, and those are out here on the board. The image of that is down here that shows you how to set those up. And it is 13 turns. There's an objective. Let's go ahead and put the objective marker out. This is the bridge that is talked about in the scenario that the Russians are going to try to blow. So that's the objective hex. Victory conditions are such that the Germans must prevent the Russians from blowing that bridge. The Russians will win an instant victory if they destroy this bridge. The Germans will win an instant victory if a German tank crosses this bridge into an adjacent hex over here. And it's a draw if the Germans get, basically, the bridge is still here, but the Germans can't get a tank across, then it's a draw. So for the scenario setup, we are given some specific information in these special rules that will discuss how to set up the starting units and reinforcements and some additional starting units. So let's take a quick look here to make sure that we're getting everything. So the Russians are going to draw their starting formation cards as they normally would, and the Germans are going to have to draw their, it looks like their armored vehicle cards. It tells them the special rules how to do that, and we'll get there in just a second. There's some additional units present at the start of the scenario. Again, that's over here. And looks like the Russians get some reinforcements, and the Germans will get no reinforcements. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set the scenario up. We won't actually play through a turn this time. Next episode, we will actually play through turn 1. I just want to get this set up to show you how to set up a scenario in Assault. Again, the map is down here. It shows you where your starting forces will go. So we'll kind of go through and we'll pull our formations, get our units out onto the board, and get it prepared to start a turn. So we're going to go to the special rules and read the setup. First thing we see is that the red faction must place the infantry units from their starting formation card within the dispersed unit box. So that's going to be, looks like that covers a little bit of map board 1 into map board 3. So here's what we should do. Let's go ahead and pick our formation cards. So the way this works is, and they're kind of off the board here. Let's grab the German formation cards first. I'll get them out onto the camera so we can see those. You have formation cards for infantry, artillery, and armor. And the Russian formation cards, I'll just pull them up a little bit in frame so that you can see those. It's the same thing. They have infantry, armor, and artillery. And then these are the command cards that we'll use, and we'll talk about those in a second. Actually, these are not the command cards. These are the unit cards that will go along with the units that we pulled. Command cards are over here off screen. We'll talk about those when we get there. So let's go ahead and start by getting our starting formations. We are told that the Germans, instead of using 5.6, now what 5.6 is, you have these 3 formations. 5.6 from the rule book, there's 3 options when you play a scenario of how to draw these cards. The first one is both players basically just, you go through a deck and pick what you want. So if it says you get 2 armor cards, you'll go through here and just pick 2 to your liking. And that's option 1. Option 2 is you basically draw them randomly, and you draw twice the amount that you're given. So in this case, second option, if we get 2 armored cards, formation cards, we would draw 4 randomly and then pick 2 of those that we like. And then the final option is you just, if we get 2 armored cards, we pick it randomly. And that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to randomly pick the cards. I'm not going to look at them. And when you're doing this solo, that's probably the best way to approach it. And I will talk about, hopefully, a little bit more how to do things solo in this game as we go along. I want to try to start talking about playing through these games more from a solo perspective as I go through it. So we'll do that. So let's go ahead and get our formations. And actually, I'm going to go back to the Russians first, since they are first in the setup. And this just says that the Russians must place their infantry units that they draw from their starting formation card within the dispersed units box. And we'll get to that in a second. But what it is telling us is if we look at the starting formations, the Russians will only get 1, and I'll try to let you see what these cards look like. They're only going to be able to draw 1 infantry starting formation card. And these cards can have just an assortment of different types of infantry units, numbers, quality. So there's things like, are they elite units? Are they rookie units? And it'll come with some command points that we will use to activate units on the board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle these really quick. Shuffle these cards up. And they're already shuffled because when I drove back from Origins and I opened up the box, there were cards everywhere. So these are double shuffled. So I'm just going to shuffle these, and then I will randomly pick one, just kind of grab one in the middle here somewhere. So that's going to be our infantry formation card. So we flip it and take a look at what we've got. It's the 86th Rifle Division, and this looks like a pretty good draw for the Russians. There is, looks like an elite, or maybe it's a recruit, so maybe it's not as good. That looks like a recruit level rifle platoon. And I need to look up the rules to see if that recruit, and I think it does, to see if that recruit marker will go under every one of these units. So I'm going to set this aside. That's our Russian infantry. And like I said, there's actually several units there, so it's probably good for the Russians. And then we go to the Germans, and it says rather than use 5.6, which is what I just talked about, that the Germans, the blue faction, must select 2 of the light tank formation cards. So if we go to the armored cards, and again, these are armored, you know that because the formation there shows you the tank, that it is an armored deck, not artillery or infantry. So it's telling us we must select light tank formations, and these will tell you on the card what they are. So you have infantry support, tank, heavy recon. So if we flip through here and find, well, there's a light tank section. So that's 1, and I don't know if there's more than one. Let's just go through and pull all of those. Medium tank, there's another light. Infantry, yeah, don't see any more, so there's probably only 2 anyway. It looks like there are only 2. So it's telling us to take those 2 out, and the Germans must use those 2. So we'll put the tank formations back down, and looking over, it looks like that the Germans get 1 infantry. So let's do that. So let's shuffle these up. Make sure we get the right side here. And I will randomly pull a card. We'll put this back down for a second. So this is the 220th Security Division, Heavy Infantry Section. So this is what the Germans will get, and this is what the Russians will get to start with. Well, starting formation cards wise. Because the next part of the special rules setup says additional starting forces. So I'm going to get these cards that we're not using out of the way. And the next thing that it tells us is we want to, at the start of the scenario, in addition to the formations that we just drew, the factions will get these additional forces. So the blue faction will get 2 trucks at the start of the scenario. So what I'm going to do is grab, the blue faction is German, so I'm going to look at my counter tray. And again, these are the nice counter trays from the Assault website, and some of these counters have flipped in the tray, so we can get those straightened back out. And I have noticed that when transporting the game that these counters do tend to get mixed up. There's a lot of jostling in there, so it causes them to kind of flip around. And I'm looking in here, I don't see the trucks in there, but I'm not surprised because I also have some markers off the board here. So it says to get 2 trucks, I believe. So there are 2 trucks. I'm going to put them with the formation cards for now. Let's see if we can get those on camera here. We'll just put them up here. So that is the 2 trucks for the Germans, and then the Russians get 2 anti-tank support units and 1 medium anti-tank gun. So 2 anti-tank support units. What does that mean? So if you're not sure what that means, you can go to the unit cards, and the unit cards will tell you, this one will tell you cavalry squad, what type of unit it actually is. So it'll say specialized infantry. So we want to flip through here and find, what did it say? 2 anti-tank support units. So we're looking for an anti-tank support unit on this card. So we'll just kind of go through here, and there's one right there. Anti-tank rifle, so AT support. And there may only be one of those types. I think there is. So I'm going to real quickly go through here and see if there's another AT support. And I don't think so, so no. And so the next thing that it's going to ask us, so we're going to put that over here too. The next thing it's going to ask us to look for is the medium anti-tank gun. So let's again look for that on the card. Medium anti-tank gun. Looking for medium. That was a medium tank. I thought that was it there. So we flip through real quick. There's a support gun. But it's not a tank gun. So there's the heavy there's it, the medium anti-tank gun. So that's the other unit we're going to get. And that is it. So what you do, once you find the unit card, it'll tell you exactly what that unit is. So we're looking for a 45 millimeter ATG, and I am going to look in the Russian counter tray. All right, so we are looking for the anti-tank rifles first of all. So you just say, well, it just says anti-tank rifle on the counter. I thought it was going to say AT rifle, but that's okay. So we're going to pull one of those out for the Russians, and the other was this 45 millimeter ATG, which should be in here. There it is. So there's the 45 millimeter ATG. So we have those. I'm going to set that aside to get our other units. So I'm going to go ahead and leave these unit cards out because we will use those with these counters. So I'm going to leave those set aside for now. And so it's going to tell us we're going to put those in the defense box that's up here. We'll do that in just a second because we are still getting our counters ready. So I will now put this aside so we can get our counters. So I'm going to put the Russians unit cards over here, and I'll probably move these before we actually start the game with their counters here. And now we take this formation card, and we're going to want to pull each unit listed on here. So we're going to start with the heavy rifles. We'll get one of those. There's the heavy rifles. 4 rifles 41. So we're going to grab 4 of those counters. And 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. And it looks like 2 Maxim machine guns. So I'm going to grab 2 of those. 1 anti-tank rifle. So it looks like another one of those. And a sniper. Interesting. Sniper. There's a sniper. Not many of those. And that is it for units that will start at setup, but there's also reinforcements. It says at the start of turn 3, they'll get 3 standard infantry units. So again, going back to the unit cards, we want to find the standard infantry, and I think it's just rifles 41, I believe, from memory. And the way I can look is right here, yeah, rifles 41. So we'll just find that card. But you definitely want to pull these cards when you're playing this game because there's information on the cards that will help you to play through the games. There's the rifles 41, and we're going to grab 3 of those counters to go along with that because it sounds like they're coming out as reinforcements. Probably the ones that are going to end up trying to blow that bridge. And I'm going to set them off to the end. Of course, I grabbed German ones. So that's going to make it difficult for the Russians if we use Germans. So let's use the Russian units. And I'm going to put them just off the board here for now until we get set up properly. And so that is it for the Russians. That's the units they will have. So I'm going to take the Russian counters off the board, and I believe I have all the cards they're going to need. And then we'll do the same things for the Germans. They've got their tanks over here. And let's start with the 17th Tank Division. Pull their, I think the tanks are actually in the counter tray over here. So it's 1 Panzer 38T. So there's a Panzer, 2 Panzer 2Fs. So there's those 2 Fs and 1 Rifles 41 squad. So that's up here. So there's a Rifles 41 squad. So that's this formation. The other part of that formation, 2 more Panzer 38Ts. So there's our 2 more 38 Panzers, 1 SDK FZ251. So I said 1 of those, and there it is, and 1 Grenadiers 41. So let's see, those should be in here, and there they are. So that's taken care of. Now this 221st Security Division, 2 more of the 41 rifles, 1 75mm infantry gun, and it's possible that's in the counter tray, and it is. 2 heavy machine gun 34s. And there they are. And then 1 81mm mortar. Okay, there it is. And 1 Tank Hunters 41. Tank Hunters 41. So that's there. And that is it for the counters that the Germans will get. So I'm going to set that aside. And I have off to the side here the counters we'll use for status markers and those kinds of things. So I'm going to take the reinforcements, and what I'm going to do with these reinforcements, I'm going to set them up here on the turn record above turn number 4, just as a reminder that they do come in at turn 4. I'm also going to grab a blue marker to show what the current turn is. So I'm just going to start on turn 1. There's 13 turns in this scenario. The turn track only goes up to 10, so I'm going to use a D20 and just show, we'll do a countdown from 13, and then we'll start moving a marker back from 10 once we get there. So we have our Russian cards, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch these around because the Russians are actually on this side of the board, just to help keep things straight in my mind. This is the, I'm getting confused here with my formation cards. So we want to keep the formation cards separate from the unit cards. Just kind of set that off to the side. So these are the actual unit cards, and they will tell you exactly the capabilities of a unit. So it's going to have defense on there, attack, and on the back it'll also have the special ability of the unit. If there is one. It may not have one, like the Rifles 41, there's nothing really special there. So I'm going to flip these over to their unit side. And I'm going to have to go through and find all of the cards for these units, and it's the same thing with the Russian cards, which I'm confusing and mixing up. I got to stop doing that because that's a German card. All right, so starting with the Germans, let's finish filling out the unit cards. So we've got our Rifles 41s, and that's from this 220th Security Division. Now we need to find the 75mm infantry gun for the Germans. So I'm just going to flip through here. These again are the German unit cards, and we will find the card that we're looking for, that 75mm infantry gun, and put it out. So there it is. We need a heavy machine gun 34 card. And these cards are really neat the way they work. Having all the information on a card is just so easy to find it. And what's next? Let's see, that's a 37. Is that what I said? No, we need the heavy machine gun 34. There's the heavy machine gun 34. We need an 81mm mortar card. There it is. We need a Tank Hunter card. That's the Tank Hunter card, and that is it for this formation. I'm going to set it off to the side here. And we have our Panzer 38T card. Doesn't look like it, so let's grab that. There's the Panzer 38T card. SDKFZ card is here. And the Grenadiers 41. The Grenadiers 41 card. All right, so that's that formation card. We've already got our Panzer 38s out. We need a Panzer 2F. I don't think we have that out yet, so let's find that. There's the 2F. Let's put it over here. And Rifles 41 is already out. So that's all of our unit cards that we need for the Germans. So I'm going to set these cards off to the side, as we will not use those again. Actually, I think, though, we need 2 trucks, right? Because the scenario tells us we start with 2 trucks. So we're not done yet. Let's get that truck card out. Now we're done with the German unit deck. And I will scoot these over just a hair. It's a lot of unit cards on the board. And I may sort these out into infantry, armor, and artillery. later. I'm going to keep the formation cards out just because when I do the playthrough, I may have to actually rearrange the board a little bit so that we can see all the card information, or maybe not. We'll see how it works out. All right, so that's the Germans. Now we've got the Soviets, and we already have an anti-tank rifle card and a 45mm anti-tank gun. So we're going to need, oh, these are the command cards. I'm going to kind of scoot those away off to the side here. So I'm going to grab the Soviet cards now, the unit cards, and looking at the formation. So we've got the reinforcements where the Rifles 41. So let's grab those first. All right, so there's that Rifles 41 card. I'm going to put it there. And then let me grab these, set them off to the side. Let's do this. So back up to the formation card, we're looking for Heavy Rifles 41. There's the Heavy Rifles 41 card. Now we're looking for a Maxim machine gun card, which is right there, right on top. Anti-tank rifle, we've already pulled that. And then a Sniper 41. Don't think I've used a sniper yet in this game, so that's going to be interesting to see how that works. And there's the sniper. And I believe that is everything. I don't know why I have this 45mm anti-tank gun out as additional forces. Yeah, so that was that anti-tank, the medium anti-tank gun. So that's what that card was. And then the other one was, of course, the anti-tank support units, which I think I've also already had out. That should be all of the, so here's our anti-tank rifles. I think that was it. And again, if you question yourself, flip it over, and the information is right on the cards. AT support, and that's what that is. So I think we have all the cards we need for the Soviets now. And I will flip them over to their informational side. This is still the formation card, so I'm going to leave it out so that we can refer to it if we have to. I don't know that we will in this scenario, but it's just kind of nice to have that information at hand. And I'm going to set it off to the side over here. Probably can't see that, but it's there. And actually, I'm going to look at it again because this was the squad that had the recruit marker on it. So I'm going to set that off to the side for now, along with our, let's look at the German ones again, because I think they also had, yeah, they also had a green marker on them, and we'll look at that. So now I'm going to take all the formation cards off the board because I don't think we're going to need those anymore either. And while I'm doing that, if anybody has any recommendations on how to store these cards in the box without using a rubber band around it, because I'm not going to do that. That's and I do have card deck holders, but that's not a great solution either, because it gets, you know, you have a few cards and you have a lot of card holders. It doesn't work. So you have like 20 cards in a 50 card holder, and it just takes up way too much space. So if you got any ideas on that, let me know down below. All right. So we pulled our unit cards, we pulled our unit counters, and we're ready to set this thing up. So the first thing we want to do is you look at your board, and it will tell you, it will show you where the blue can set up. So here you can see that the Germans can set up along this outside edge. This dispersed area, as it was called, is in here, and then the defense line is over here. I will be careful about keeping units inside those areas. So let's start with the defense line. So the red faction gets the 2 anti-tank support units, and again, that's the anti-tank rifle units. So we find those that we pulled, and I don't see them. I flipped my cards, but not my counters, so let's do that real quick. Get the German counters off the board. We'll just put them over here for now. So we'll have the attackers and defenders correctly laid out now. So going back to that defense line, there's our anti-tank rifles, and I think it also said that anti-tank gun. We're going to go on that defense line. Correct. So these 3 units, and the defense line starts at, let's see, let's put a, we'll grab a D6 and put there, and that line runs down to this forest. So anywhere in here, anywhere between these 2 dice, we can put these units. For now, I'm just going to put them, let's see, I think we're just going to put them in here for now. Because what I'm thinking is, we're not really sure where we want those to go. I guess it's not going to matter a whole lot because the Germans start so far back, but we may want to rearrange that. And if you're playing a two-player scenario, the way it would work is the scenario usually would tell you who actually gets to place the first unit. If it doesn't, you roll a d6. Whoever wins that will get to place first, and you'll alternate placing units until everybody's placed their units. Since I'm playing this solitaire, I'm going to just kind of set the units up the best way I know how, and make what makes sense for each side. So like I said, I'll go ahead and set up the Russians, I'll set up the Germans, and then maybe I'll make a few slight modifications to that. So let's continue on here. That's our defense line, as they call it. Now this dispersed area, a little harder to see on this map. I'm going to grab, these are the smoke marker and the hit markers that come with the game. So I'm going to just use those to kind of show legal hexes here, starting with this forest. There's a building, that intersection in the road, and that's adjacent building. This light forest, and then this part of the road, the forest again, and the woods. And what else? We have two more, it looks like, and I think I probably have some Germans that are in the way here. So there's a clear hex. Where is this clear hex? It is here and here. So that's a nice little aid to show me where I can place these units. And again, these are the Russian units. So let's get all the same type units together. So we got the rifles, the sniper, heavy rifles, and these two machine guns. So I think I'm going to place the sniper here. I'm not sure it's going to matter a heck of a lot here because these units are probably going to be fleeing back towards that bridge once we get started. I'll put some rifles in the building here and then the building down here. And I'm going to put a machine gun here in the light forest. The other machine gun we're going to put up here in these woods. 3 units left, 2 rifles and a heavy rifle. We will start the heavy rifle in the intersection. And then we'll just have these other 2 rifles. I have one on the road and the other on the road down here. Actually, let's put them down here. So that's how I'm going to start these German units. I could have put, let's see, do I want to put another unit in the woods over here? No, like I said, I'm probably going to be retreating some of those units anyway, so let's just start with that. And like I said, I may adjust right before we start turn 1. Now for the reinforcements, they're going to come in down here, so we're not going to worry about that yet. We will say that the Russians are set up, and now the Germans, and I've made a mess of my counters. Let's see, where's a good place to sort them? Over here. Now I can set up along this, anywhere on this back line, and these 3 hexes in front of this back line down here, this hex and the 2 hexes here. So not a lot of freedom in where to place these things. The question is, do I want to group the panzers and have them come in together? I think I want to keep the Panzer IIIs together for now. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to keep it this way. And as far as stacking goes, there's really no stacking in this game. You can go through a unit, but you can't stack with the unit. All right, I'm going to put a Panzer. This is the Panzer 38T. I'm going to put one up here and one right next to it. Got to be careful too, because if you put them in terrain, certain terrain can cause the damage to your tank, so you got to be careful about that. And this other tank, I'm going to put him back here. And I'll have to check facing on all this stuff before we begin the actual turn. So for now, we'll just put them in there. And the facing is on the counter, so you can, as long as you're pointed at a vertices there for the hex, you're okay. And these other pans are 2Fs. I'm going to put those down. Let's see, like I said, I got to be careful with the terrain because I don't want to damage any of these tanks coming out. So really, probably ought to put one in here. I don't really have a whole lot of room. I guess I'm going to have to put one here. Like I said, it's really tight. I don't know that starting them on the terrain would cause damage since they're moving out, so we'll just put that one there. The trucks, we need to figure out where our rifle units are going to go. And I'm feeling really constricted now. Like I said, there's just nowhere to put these units. So I'm going to put these rifles, I'll put them on the hill here. And those trucks too, we still have the trucks. I don't know where everything's going to go. I'm beginning to wonder if there's enough hexes to hold all the counters here. This is kind of weird. Well, let's put the rifles down here since these are valid hex locations. And the trucks, I'm guessing they can go in the woods. So I'm just going to put the trucks kind of near the infantry just in case. There's a mortar that I want to get out. We'll just put him down here for now. Well, let's not do that. Can I put him? Let's put the truck down here and the mortar there. And the machine guns, I'm going to put one here, one up here. Let's see, you can go in here. So basically, there's 3 counters left, and I think do I even have 3 spaces? I don't think I do. I've got 1 space up here. I think that's it. I think that's all these legal starting spaces. So I'm not sure where I can put these other 2 units. And so this may be just a function of the random drawing of these formation cards, and maybe it just doesn't take into account if you pull more counters than you have startup space for. What I'm going to do for now is just put these 2 units here, and I will have to investigate whether or not we're allowed to do that. Because like I said, the game setup is only the line where I have all those counters now, and I had 2 left over, so I'm assuming they just go. I'm going to put them here for now. I mean, maybe we don't get to use them if they don't fit, so I will have to resolve that before we actually start turn 1. So that is it for the setting up the German counters, and the only thing I can think that we're missing now are the command points. So I'm going to pull the formation cards out again and pull the command points for the Russians first. So if you look at the Russians formation card, it comes with, it looks like 6 of those command points. And so I will grab those for the Russians. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm just going to set those on the card for now. And the Germans get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of those. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So they're going to get 11 command points. And we'll just set those on the card for now. So that's it for the command points. And I've kind of jostled the counters here, but that's okay. We'll get those set up once we actually get underway. Okay, so the last thing that we're missing are the command cards. So for the command cards, those are over here. Each faction will have its own deck of command cards. So there's the one for the Germans, and this is the one for the Soviets. And then there is a neutral deck. So this is the neutral deck. And what you do is you divide the neutral deck in half. Each side's going to get 7 of those. Randomly, so they were shuffled. So I'm going to put those those are the neutral ones, face down. And then we will just take well, let's not do them face down because I want to put them with the actual side right now. So this is the Soviet command deck, the command card deck. I'm going to set that on the Soviet side, and then the Germans we will place on the German side, and we'll give those a good mix. Now, unless the scenario states otherwise, you'll get 3 cards during the planning phase to draw your hand up. And I don't think this scenario mentions command cards, so I guess it's going to be 3. And for now, we're just going to set the command cards to the respective sides, and we'll shuffle those up. And once we actually get started for turn 1, I think the only thing I'm missing now are the experience markers. So for like the 17th Tank Division here, it's got this green marker, which is that elite? Hardened, I think it says. So it looks like I should have 5 of these hardened markers under, I don't think the other had, no. So it's just, only part of that division is hardened. So there's going to be 4 of those. On the Russian, let's see if you can see this. I've got the command points on it as well. But the Russians have the recruit marker on all of those. So it's 6, 7, 8, 9 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And just right off, just the way that we drew the formation cards, I'm going to say the Russians are going to have a they're going to have a hard time, I've got a feeling. And one thing I didn't mention, I think I've got everything now out that we're going to need to play this game. I think we're set up and ready to go. If I don't, let me know down below before I start. I probably will have to place these experience markers under the proper units before we start. But other than that, if I miss something, let me know. But what I was going to say is the scenario says that the Russians must destroy this bridge. In order to do that, where did the scenario book go? They have to have 2 infantry units dig in next to that bridge. And it tells you that in the at the bottom here under reinforcements. And like I said, these 3 that come in are the ones that are probably going to try to do this. It says as soon as 2 of any of the 3 standard infantry units are dug in adjacent to the objective hex, then the bridge is declared as blown. So basically they want to get 2 of those infantry units dug in somewhere around that victory location. All right, that was a bit longer than I had hoped, but I did just want to go through the setup with you to show you how it works, because that's an important part of the game as well. If I missed anything, please let me know below. I will try to find out how to handle the extra counters on the board with this scenario, whether we pull those out or just throw them down. I don't know, we'll see. If you like what I do, please like this video, consider subscribing, and there's a Patreon page to check out as well. Thank you so much. I'll see you back for turn 1.